And it was obvious I didn't like blend in or fit the mold, or I was viewed as just some like tree hugging hippie all about love, and they're fucking skating, listening to Slayer.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Thinking I'm just a pussy. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that, right?
I don't know, maybe, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Probably.
But he's like a sweet guy. I mean, it's like sometimes I feel like such a prick when I hang out with Matt, because I'm like, God damn, man, this guy is just, fuck him. You know what I mean? Like, you want to hate him, kind of, but not because he's a bad guy, but because, especially if you're an asshole, it's like I said earlier, I'm a pretty big asshole, man. Fuck that guy. It's like when they kick that guy's ass in Fight Club just because he's good looking.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? It's just like you're like, I'm gonna take care of this guy, right?
Well, it's good to know that this is a reoccurring theme, because I too thought that there was something weird about Matt when I first met him, and it's every single person I know. I mean, hell, even your cousin Joey says that you should get an Oscar for best act for the long.
Well, for the people that say like I'm putting on an act, he's like, well, that motherfucker deserves an Oscar because he kept it. He ain't broke character in 30 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't think that it's like an act. I think that you use that, like, one of the things that, like, the power of positivity, is if you believe something. I mean, you don't have to believe something because it is. You just believe it because you want it to come into fruition, right?
Right.
And I think that you've taught yourself to do that. And I struggle staying there, because you get so pissed off about whatever it is, probably some dumb shit you shouldn't be mad about, but you have a good way of like maybe always focusing on that, because I know that
For sure.
I struggle with it,
But on the flip side, so do you, Brian. You taught me so fucking much, because when Brian Brenner puts his mind to something, look the fuck out. There's no stopping him.
Right. And I don't know if, I know, this is a new podcast for you, Brian, but you've come up multiple times on different episodes, and you might not be aware of this, but you are one of my main influences for business.
Really?
I
mean, I appreciate that. But
you were always doing. You were a risk taker, which I am a very big risk taker, and I really appreciate that. You were always just rock and roll skateboards. You just were like, I'm gonna do this, and when everybody else had to like have all this way, you just fucking did it. You put your head down. You had your own skate team.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I know you're fully aware of all this, but I was just the guy that kind of sat back and just kind of watched all this unfold. And so you were the one that kind of showed me, like, you can just do whatever the fuck you want. Just go be a badass at it. You know what I mean? So, I never had a chance, but I just wanted to thank you for that, because, I'm a pretty successful person today, and you are a part of that.
Yep.
So thank you.
Yep, me too.
Thanks for all the kind words.
Impact.
If I'm ever going through a bout of depression, I just need to come down here and sit, and I'm tell you what, man, y'all motherfuckers can just like,
Yeah.
But I think that power of positivity, though, that is a reoccurring theme with Matt. You work at Isle Mine, that he's like, whether, you think he's full of shit or whether you think he's like, 100% real. Let's say he was full of shit. It still would work, though, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So either way, you kind of win, right? I mean, it's like, how can you go wrong?
Even if it is a cult,
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, let's like say I'm totally convinced, man, that he's like fucked. You know what I mean? And this and that. So it's like, even if like, it's kind of what's going on in the world now, where it's like, people are like, you know what, man, I don't know, but they're fucked, and I'm gonna keep digging until I can find enough stuff to cancel this asshole. And it's like, at the end of the day, even if you're right, let's say, even if you are right, it's like, it's still negative energy.
Yeah,
right?
Well, you're right.
That you're trying to do, like, trying to always going around and figuring out who you can,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and I appreciate you brothers in my life, like, because all of you have had to at one time or the other, like, stick up for me or explain to others that I'm actually real deal. Hip's got to all the time.
Sure.
People will go up to him and be like, man, what's up with your boy, man? He's, and Hip's got to tell him, like, I know, I get it. Believe it or not, it's fucking real, you know.
My three personalities have different opinions. They argue over Matt. One of them says, fuck that little motherfucker. And then this other one's like, well, man, come on, you can't say that because the guys A, B, and C, and the third one's like, well, no, I kind of agree with both you assholes, but like, you know what I mean? That's kind of, so, but yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that being a thing.
Yeah, man. It's nuts. And it's beautiful because, you would think most people would bring a guy like me in the game would maybe be someone like me.
Right.
But that's why it's even cooler, like the strongest and hardest motherfucker in the game that showed up with the strongest presence somehow gave me a chance and again taught me so much. And once I grew and we grew together, then I had the honor of like walking and running alongside him. And so I'll just fucking never not only forget that, but do my best not to take any of it for granted. And he taught me so much. And that was back in the day, because now we live in a culture where every kid gets a trophy, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
but
totally.
fucking not when we was coming up.
No.
And it doesn't matter if he had 30 dudes rolling. When it was convention time, he is hand selecting, even if it's only 3 of you.
Sure.
However many's going, it don't matter how long you've been working, how long you've been tattooing, what type of person are you, your attitude, and what's your portfolio. Because when we're going to show up and shell out with the strongest presence, like we're taking over the city, whatever city this show's in. It's our show. We declare it before we get there, and he backs it up with presence. And to knowing how he rolls, and Josh, you can attest to this.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that I eventually later on got to be a part of that team, I mean, was just like the hugest honor, because to roll with this man, you've got to be the best, and you've got to have hunger level on 10 like Goggins shit for tattooers. It was the
absolutely.
He's like the David Goggins of tattooers.
I remember being at one of the Nationals conventions, and between Truth and Triumph and New Breed, we won so many awards. Not only did like St. Mark's brother Monty miss his plane because he fucking dropping his awards and shit, they changed the rules. We won so many awards as a unit that they changed the rules the next year where you couldn't enter as many things, like, you know what I mean? So like, I didn't know that we came to fucking win,
Yeah.
Like I remember St. Mark's used to talk about like having that song Bow Down start playing every time they started calling our names and stuff. It was a crazy time. I mean, you were there, Brian, it was
Right.
It was intense.
Those are the only people that last too. Like if I've had wonderful tattooers that do the, just the most awesome work you can think of, but inside they felt this big.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how much success you achieve, how much your buddies tell you you're the best, or, how many trophies that you win, you got to have that courage, man, that courage to actually go out there and do it. And I think like what you guys are celebrating, a lot of people, they get turned off by it.
That's right.
They get turned off by, I just read a book called Relentless by Tim Grover. It was Michael Jordan's private coach, and then he worked with Kobe after that. And he said, when you're the first to do something, this like really made me go, wow, this is because I get off on this kind of stuff. He's going, when you're the first to do something like Jordan, like think of all the criticism that Jordan's gotten for his behavior, how he talks to his teammates. He's just a hard motherfucker, right? Everybody's, well, he shouldn't do this, and he shouldn't that, and this, and that, and that, and this, right? He shouldn't be doing these things. And Tim Grover's like, when you are the best at what you do, or trying to be the best at what you're doing, whether it is, well, you already are the best or trying to be the best, there's no real right way. You know what I mean? Like, because
you're a pioneer of something.
Right. When you're the first one to do something,
Man.
you know what I mean? So it's like, you're going to get a lot of shit, you know what I mean, for that. But that kind of stuff turns me on. You guys are celebrating it, man. The same stuff you guys are celebrating, so many people still hate my guts because of how I roll. You still hate my guts. But these motherfuckers would rather see me dead, man, than
Sure.
Man, I love hearing this shit. It's like fairy tales. Like I can't tell you how many times I've just poked and prodded into the past of it, because, man, kind of new to the game, I can remember, like, once I got out of prison, sitting with a fucking rinse in my needle in a bedbug infested apartment. And I'm sure I've told all of you this story before, but it's just so vivid, and seeing like these Truth and Triumph commercials and these fucking dudes all fucking tatted up, fucking driving dope ass old school cars, and just thinking like, those guys are cool. And wanting to be like that. And I remember there's an article that came in the newspaper that someone did with you, and it was basically like asking prices and like the difference between professional artists and the scratchers, and quotes of like how much you charge for sleeves, or what a proper price would be if you're going to go to an artist and like engage in possibly getting work done from them, you know, just beware signs, buyer bewares. And I remember cutting that out and hanging it up, and just being lost in addiction, man, and then getting clean, and then linking up with Matt. And I had tattooed a client that was also in recovery. And when Matt was opening up aisle 9, I snuck over to Truth and Triumph, and you were tattooing that same client. And I remember telling you, like, my God, like, you're Brian fucking Brenner, the dude that I remember watching on TV and not knowing anything about, that was like so untouchable in the lives that you guys were living. Now you're tattooing right next to a tattoo that I did probably 6 months earlier, and it was a profound moment, man, because, you know, thank God for measuring sticks. So like any chance I get to hear this history, you know, I didn't even know how tight you guys were for the longest time, and finding out that like you, St. Mark, Carlton, all came from like the same place. And ran together, and like that the story Josh was just talking about, like Monty dropping all the trophies and like changing the rules, like I had no fucking clue. And it's like, man, what an honor it is to like sit at this table and hear these stories.
Well, yeah, because like dudes like Nico are on a pedestal, but when you talk to Nico, who's he got on a pedestal?
Yeah,
dudes like Brian Brenner.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. I had dinner with him at the last Evergreen, and he was basically telling me like you and St. Mark were checking out his work before he was Nico, and you were basically like, why in the fuck are you not tattooing like you draw? Start tattooing like this. And it changed him, and you know, he is who he is today. So it's cool because like that little bit of asshole, that little bit of a fucking fire starter behind you to kick you into the fucking ring is much needed in this industry, dude, and I appreciate that shit.